Hi, this is Brother Teacher. Are you struggling or still struggling with losing weight? And it just seems like it's impossible for you to lose weight. I want to drop a couple of jewels on you that you really should be aware of and that you should implement in your daily life. Unfortunately, when we were all born, we were never taught the proper way to eat, what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat. Instead, we just basically assumed that what we saw other people doing should be the appropriate manner, and we never questioned it. For example, there is in our culture a breakfast, lunch, and a dinner, sometimes snacks in between. But if you really take note, and if you're really honest with yourself, you will realize and have realized that the American diet probably is the most worst diet on the planet in terms of health. Doesn't mean that we don't have healthy foods available to us. It means that we don't know how to properly utilize those healthy foods and separate them from those foods that are unhealthy for us. So here's a tidbit that I want to offer you right now in terms of the proper way to eat and or combine foods. Just a tidbit in this particular video. First of all, make certain that you consume as much vegetables, fresh, organically grown vegetables in your diet as possible. Okay, and eat fruit as well, organically grown fruit. And try your very best to limit the amount of animal products that you utilize. If not at all, just simply getting rid of animal products. That's one thing. Now, the two things that I really want to focus in on as far as losing weight, why we can't lose the weight, is the fact that we eat at the wrong times of day and we eat the wrong things. And here it is in a nutshell. You should never combine your animal protein with a carbohydrates. Carbohydrates meaning your pastas and your rice and so forth. So, for example, when you combine any meat with a carbohydrate, it stays in your system longer. When you ingest your food, it's not supposed to stay in your stomach or in your intestines longer than necessary. It goes in your mouth, down your esophagus, into your stomach to be further broken down. The majority of the nutrition is absorbed into your small intestine, and then the waste begins to go out of your large intestine or colon to be eliminated. That's the process fundamentally. What happens is that we combine so many things together, such as meat and carbohydrates, rice, pasta, bread, such as hot dogs with a bun, pizza with meat, which is a carb and an animal protein, hamburgers with a bun, carb and protein, animal protein again, lasagna, meat, and or animal protein, if you will, and pasta again. These being combined together take longer to break down in your stomach, and they hang up in your transverse colon. Your transverse colon is at the top of your colon. You have your ascending, transcending, and your descending colon. Your food is pushing up the ascending colon, and when it gets to the transverse colon, which sits here, I'll bring my hand up here so you can see the transverse colon is here, right beneath your solar plexus, around there. So the food gets stuck there because it's not properly broken down, coming from the stomach through the small intestine, and once it hits the large intestine or the upper part of the transverse intestine, large intestine that is, it gets caught there. And so it begins to uh, balloon, if you will. And that is where you get that high protruding belly from. That's impact, or impaction, if you will. It's waste that's sitting in your intestines that can't come out and be properly eliminated. I've said this in some videos in time past, and excuse my hesitation in trying to explain this, but I'm trying to be as concise and or explicit as possible and as elementary for many of us so that we can fundamentally understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to take a moment here. I'm drawing a simple stick type of figure. Look at that picture there, if we can focus in on that. You see the top of that? One of these here, your intestines, it goes up, it comes across, and then it comes down. The top part of your intestine, again, I know that was pretty rough, but I have other videos prior to this that you can go back and look at. But the top part of your intestine is where the food that's wasted hangs out. It's a traffic jam, and it can't be properly eliminated. So you begin to have bloating, you begin to have gas. A lot of times you develop what we call IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, or a leaky gut, because there is a part of the inside lining of that intestine that starts to wear away, and then it begins to leak. Then you have allergic reactions because that's waste that's in your colon that can't escape. It's never supposed to stay there. It putrefies and it becomes very toxic in that area and very acidic, and it begins to eat a hole in your stomach lining. And then you also develop things such as colitis, gastrointestinal issues, because you're combining foods the wrong way. Now, if you're going to eat meat, understand this. We were not originally intended to eat meat, man that is, because we're not carnivores by nature. We are herbivores. So, the fact that we chew our foods, that's the breaking down of the food. All carnivores bite their food off and swallow it. They don't chew. Only herbivores chew. Giraffes, gorillas, chimpanzees, monkeys, hippopotamus, every animal that has square teeth, zebras, deer, they're all herbivores. They chew. Okay? All carnivores bite and swallow. That's how their system is set up. So we chew for a reason, so that our food is further broken down so that it can be prepared for the digestive process, and then subsequently the elimination process. So since we're not supposed to originally be eating meat, our body is only prepared to break down so much animal protein. But what do human beings love? Meat. I mean, steaks, baked potatoes, fried chicken, all of this stuff that stays in your body so long, and that your hydrochloric acid in your stomach, your pepsin, it can't break the meat down sufficiently. So it ends up being undigested completely, and it starts to still pass through the system. And then it gets caught up in the large intestine, in the transverse colon again, and it can't pass by. So we end up having to take Tums and Rolaids and other products, Mylanta and Pepto-Bismol, for all of these stomach issues, when we shouldn't be taking anything at all if we're eating properly and properly combining our foods. So if you're going to eat meat, I suggest that you eat it by itself or with vegetables, meat and vegetables. Don't put any kind of pasta with your meat. Not meatballs and spaghetti, not macaroni with ground beef, not hamburgers and French fries, not hamburgers with buns, not hot dogs with buns, not pizza with meat on top of it, and not lasagna and those types of things that have pasta or carbs in animal products. because it stays in your system longer and it begins to rot, it begins to putrefy, and then you have all other types of issues as a result. So, the other thing, this is the key thing. I told you the two things that you shouldn't combine: animal products or meat with carbs, with pasta, rice, and so forth. The other thing too, if you're going to eat those things that I mentioned, make sure that you try your very best. I know people's jobs are different. They work different shifts during the day and the evening and in the middle of the day and so forth. But you need to try to figure out a program that suits you or fits you. Stop eating past 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. Because when you eat meat, especially meat and pasta or meat and carbs combined past 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, guess what? When you lay down to go to sleep, it's not digested. It's still there. It's still in your intestines. It's not coming out like it's supposed to. Food comes in the mouth, begins the process of moving, all of the moving until it's out. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's never supposed to stop anywhere in your digestive tract, period. It's supposed to always be flowing until it completely leaves your body in the form of bowel or stool. That's the end of it. That's how it works. You chew or you masticate. You swallow. Digestion begins in the mouth. It continues on in the stomach and the small intestine, and then elimination time. Nothing's supposed to stop or hold up inside your digestive tract, period. Because if it does, it means that you are constipated because you're improperly combining foods, eating the wrong things together, or the wrong things, period. Okay? Excuse my rough example with my paper. I've done this in time past. I'm sure that we are all intelligent enough to understand what I'm saying, and then there are charts, and then there are also pictures of the intestines online or in books that you can look at, and you can see how your large intestine is set up inside your body. Ascending, transcending, goes across, and then you're descending all the way down into your colon and your rectum, and it's out of there. Okay? This is Brother Teacher. I hope that this was of value to you. Never eat before you go to bed. I want to say this before I part again. I've said this in time past. Never ever eat anything before you go to bed. If you want something to eat and you haven't eaten all day, do an intermittent fast of sorts. Let it be liquid. Let it be soup. Let it be broth, beef broth, chicken broth. But don't let it be anything solid. Your body is only supposed to be digesting food when you're up and moving around. When you're asleep, your body's supposed to be repairing itself. And only that. Okay? I love you and Yahweh love you. So long.